Nowadays, many people believe that using cell phones or computers is the main way to catch cheaters. But that's hardly the truth for two simple reasons. First, skilled cheaters know how to avoid leaving electronic clues on such devices, and second, an average husband or wife typically doesn't suspect their spouse of cheating, so they never feel the need to search for evidence that doesn't exist. I know this for sure because I've been one of those slightly naive husbands who thought my pretty wife, Lisa, would never cheat on me. But the cruel truth is I was totally wrong. I must have been living with blinders on because I never saw or suspected the slightest sign that our marriage had such problems. I am Bo Eklund, a 39-year-old guy from Scandinavia working in planning and administration at the leading local construction company in our area. Lisa is 37 and works in accounting at a machine-making plant. We've been married for 13 years and have a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter, until that terrible Friday when a simple coincidence turned everything into a complete mess. I, the silly fool, had thought that Lisa and I had a good marriage. My problems began the previous Saturday when I had to spend a few hours at my job fixing some urgent issues and took the entire next Friday off as overtime compensation. Of course, Lisa had given me a long list of honeydew chores to keep me busy that day, but after the kids left for school, I decided to skip her list. I thought it would be a better idea to clean the house, especially since we had invited 2 families over for dinner that evening. After vacuuming the living room, I decided to clean the mirrors of my cocktail cabinet, wanting to make a good impression on our friends. It usually contained 8 bottles of malt whiskey from different distillers in Scotland, along with 6 crystal whiskey glasses. To my great surprise, I noticed that one of the glasses had been used. This was strange because it hadn't been used a day before when I had replaced a burnt-out light bulb in the cabinet. That was a mystery because I never left dirty glasses in there. It was obvious that someone had been in my house and had been drinking my whiskey. Yesterday, Lisa and I had left at the same time in the morning, and I had been home before her, so someone must have been drinking the whiskey during the daytime when both of us were at work. But who would break into a house just to drink a glass of whiskey? There had to be another explanation. I first checked the doors, windows, and locks for breaking marks, and then I checked all our valuables, but nothing seemed unusual and nothing was missing. My next thought was that Lisa might have come home for a short stop with someone, but it was strange that she hadn't mentioned it to me, unless, of course, I wasn't supposed to know about it. The thought hit me like lightning. I went into the bedroom to search for clues, but couldn't find anything. Next, I checked the spare room and was surprised to see that the pillow and sheets on the bed were slightly used. This was odd because it had been months since Lisa's sister had stayed there. A closer examination revealed a couple of long dark brown hairs on the pillow, along with a small dried spot of something in the middle of the sheet. I replaced the used pillowcase and sheet, cutting out the stained part from the sheet and throwing the rest into a garbage bag. I then grabbed my magnifying glass to compare the hair from the spare room with a strand from Lisa's hairbrush. It was clear they matched. Lisa's sister is blonde, so it couldn't have been her hair. It became obvious that someone had been in that bed the day before, and with Lisa's hair on the pillow, it was apparent she had been involved. Because of her gym time the previous evening, she hadn't had a chance to fix the bed without making me suspicious. But I don't think she was too concerned about that because I never checked anything in the spare room. If it hadn't been for that dirty glass, I would have still been a happy husband. Lisa had never left a dirty glass there, so it was clear that the lover must have taken the whiskey without her knowledge while waiting for her. Of course, there was no way for me to pretend everything was normal and go on with our dinner plans, so I made 2 phone calls to cancel with our very surprised friends. After that, I left a note for Lisa on the kitchen table. Lisa, due to a very serious issue, I've canceled dinner with our friends, and I'll be away for some time. B. There was little information, not even about the problem or where I was going or for how long. But Lisa wasn't stupid. She'd at least get a clue when she saw the clean sheet on the spare room bed. After that, I booked a room at a popular hotel on the Baltic coast, packed a suitcase with clothes and my laptop, put it in my car, locked the house, switched off my cell phone, and drove away. At the hotel, I spent some time at the gym and in the pool before having dinner and spending a few hours at the bar. I turned my phone on briefly to download the voice and text messages Lisa had sent me. She had sent 4 voice messages and 2 text messages asking me to contact her as soon as possible. Not one of them apologized or tried to explain why I had left, so there was no reason for me to call her back. Most of my Saturday was spent in the hotel's gym and spa. After dinner, I wasted a few hours at the bar, but I wasn't in the mood for anything romantic, especially not with a rather attractive lady who was clearly working and trying to offer services for business purposes. On Sunday, around 6 p.m., I returned home. As I entered, Lisa immediately shouted, "Where the hell have you been?" The moment she saw me, she asked, "Who is he?" I replied calmly, "Who?" She shouted back, "The damn creep you brought into this house on Thursday. He drank my whiskey and had sex with you in the spare room." I stayed calm and said, "He left a dirty glass in my whiskey cabinet, sperm on the sheets in our spare bedroom, and hair on the pillow. If you refuse to tell me who he is, I'll have his DNA tested one way or another." Lisa, looking stunned, argued, "You can't demand innocent people give you DNA samples. They'll never agree to that." I replied, "I can't, but I'm sure some of my friends can. All the innocent guys will be happy to cooperate with my friends rather than resist their friendly request. It's your problem what happens to the cheater if he's stupid enough to disobey." Lisa grew pale and shouted, "Oh my God! You can't let those thugs harass innocent people." I responded, as I said, "It's up to you. Some of my friends come from one of the toughest areas in our town. They spent half their life behind bars, but they don't care. It's better than being unemployed." Lisa knew it would be easy for them to do me that favor. She broke down, saying it was just a one-time fling with Jerry Harrison. "It will never happen again. Please forgive me. Let me explain, and you don't need to overreact." I answered, "No reason for overreaction. The only thing I plan to do is strangle that dam." She screamed for me to stop and begged me to come back, but I just walked out, took my car, and drove away. It only took me about 10 minutes to reach Jerry's house, but Lisa had called him to warn him of my intentions. Jerry's stunning wife, Veronica, was at home. She told me Jerry had received a call and rushed out. When I explained why I was there, she said, "Thanks for the information. If you have proof, Jerry will be out of this house tomorrow, and there won't be any problems. This house is my property." I told her Lisa had confessed about what happened with Jerry, and I even had DNA from the spot on the sheet. I asked if she could get me something with Jerry's DNA so I could send it for testing. Veronica gave me a used handkerchief from the laundry basket and promised to keep me updated on what happened between her and Jerry. The next day, Monday, I went to the court office for divorce papers, filled out the details, signed them, and asked Lisa to sign. She refused, bursting into hysterical tears. I received a call from Veronica. She told me that Jerry had been kicked out of her house after admitting to his affair. A strong colleague of hers had moved in to keep Jerry from causing any trouble or attempting to return. When I informed Lisa that Jerry was now free and that she could go to him the next day if she wished, she didn't react as I expected. Instead, she started crying again, pleading with me to forgive her for what she called a huge mistake, a one-time lapse in judgment. I paused to think it over, but felt there were still some things that needed to be clarified before I could even consider forgiving her. I decided to take a long walk to clear my head and reflect on everything. During that walk, Veronica called again. She asked if I could do her a favor, something that sounded unusual but clearly meant a lot to her. 2 days later, I received a phone call along with an audio file that made me abandon any hope of reconciling with Lisa in the future. In the file, Jerry confessed that he had slept with Lisa 5 or 6 times at various locations. But the first time was at their company's Christmas party. The second time had been at a seminar where a colleague, Joel Nalen, had joined them for a one-night threesome. After that, it was just Jerry and Lisa at different locations. When Jerry was informed he could keep his current job, but his wife wanted him to live in a nearby town 35 kilometers away, he agreed. My friends told me that it took no more than a few seconds with a taser to make Jerry cooperate with the whole process. First, I called Veronica to give her the news about her cheating spouse. Then, it was Lisa's turn to hear Jerry's confession, which led her to sign the divorce papers without any further resistance or attempts at explanation for what she had done. Though I knew the divorce would be painful for our children and expected it to be a difficult process, I saw no other way forward. It didn't matter how much I had loved Lisa or still loved her. Her long-term lies and betrayal were too much for me to carry. 6 months later, I still feel like a broken person, and my life has yet to find its balance. I decided to buy out Lisa's share of our house after taking out a new loan from the bank. Combining that with the burden of managing all the expenses on a single income severely impacted my finances. Even though most of the people involved in Lisa's betrayal ended up in less than ideal situations, I still feel like the biggest loser in all of this. Jerry did exactly as instructed, buying a modest home in a nearby town where he now lives with a divorced woman he met online. He continued to blame Lisa for his downfall. Even though they both still work at the same company, their relationship ended, and they barely speak to each other anymore. As for Joel Naylen, he's also a loser in this whole affair. Despite still being married, after I told his wife about his threesome with Lisa and Jerry, she gave him a straightforward ultimatum: leave or accept new terms. He chose to stay, and now he's a joke. His wife is now sleeping with her boss at least once a week, usually at his place but sometimes in Joel's bed. Joel is said to spend many nights in the spare room or at a budget hotel. Meanwhile, his wife has received a promotion and a company car, so she's doing quite well and certainly isn't suffering for nothing. Even Jerry's ex-wife, Veronica, has come out ahead. The attractive coworker she moved in with never left her side, and now I've even been invited to their wedding. Veronica mentioned she had set me up with a great date for the occasion, though I don't expect it to turn into anything serious. It was Veronica who pushed Jerry out of town, asking me to help persuade him to move away. I did, and she rewarded my friends handsomely for their assistance, which provided me with some valuable information about Lisa and Jerry. Lisa ended up living with Tony Hole in his 2-bedroom apartment. This arrangement meant she couldn't have the kids every second week as per our shared custody agreement. Tony is a divorced man with a history of jealousy and abuse toward women, and several friends, as well as I, warned her about him. Unfortunately, she didn't listen. The situation escalated when Lisa received the money from the sale of our house and refused to hand it over to Tony. He had nearly completed the purchase of a new BMW, and he became enraged. In a fit of rage, he made the grave mistake of assaulting Lisa in front of our children. Despite everything, Lisa is still the mother of my children, and I couldn't stand by and let anyone harm her. Tony paid for his actions, ending up in the hospital with a broken collarbone, a fractured leg, and a damaged knee. He was left in a wheelchair for several weeks. While Tony was recovering in the hospital, Lisa moved out of his apartment and purchased a new place in a better neighborhood. Although Lisa and I are far from friends, we're now at least able to talk about the kids, and I believe her when she says she deeply regrets her actions. What really caught me off guard was how quickly Veronica and Joel Naylen's wife found new partners. I suspect Lisa wasn't the only one in this mess who had been unfaithful. One of my closest friends believes Jerry and Joel slept with Lisa as some form of revenge because they suspected their own wives of cheating. Who knows if he's right? In the end, I'm the only one who truly didn't deserve any of this. It's hard to see how I'm the only innocent one in this entire mess. And that's the conclusion of today's story. If you found it interesting, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content to more viewers. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me continue creating stories like this for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.